Hi, I'm Mark Streshinsky. I'm artistic director of Berkeley West Edge Opera, and I've created a production of Don Giovanni which we'll be bringing to the Livermore Valley Opera in a new and expanded version from the production that I did in January. It's a contemporary version of Don Giovanni. Don Giovanni is an opera that I think lends itself well to contemporary costumes and scenery. I'm a director that doesn't believe that all operas should be done that way. For instance, La Traviata is an opera that I think should be done in period. But I think Don Giovanni is one that really works with modern dress costumes and scenery. And the reason for this is that the themes of Don Giovanni are pretty universal. And I really like to be able to bring an audience into the story and really connect an audience with the story. And I think a production like this with modern dress, people that the audience, a contemporary audience, can really recognize, really resonates with an audience. If you're sitting in an audience watching an opera and you see people wearing clothes that you might wear or someone that you know might wear, then you really understand that character a little bit more. I like a period costume. I love working with period costumes, but they're so far outside of the realm of our understanding these days, without a lot of research. I think a modern dress production works very well. Period costumes are extremely expensive, and modern dress makes it possible to bring this scale of opera to an audience at one of the smaller opera companies. So that's the reason that I wanted to do Don Giovanni in modern dress. I think that it gives us the opportunity to have moments on the stage that are contemporary, that seem outside of the realm of this music from the 18th century. And I love that it gives a little levity to it. It makes people laugh. People see something that they would never expect to see in an opera, and they enjoy that. So the production that we did at Berkeley West Edge Opera in January was extremely popular. I had more people say to me, I don't really like opera, but I love this. And they saw things on stage that they had never seen in an opera before. It made them laugh, and it made them focus and connect with the stage, and it was a big success. I also connect the production with modern technology and situations. One of the things that we did that was most striking was that Leporello's famous catalog aria. Normally it's a very large book in which he shows Donna Elvira the list of all the different women across Europe that Don Giovanni has seduced. Well, I put it on an iPhone, and Leporello pulled out his iPhone and showed Donna Elvira, and it's projected on the back wall. Very, very clever projection created by Jeremy Knight, and it was a big success because it was, we call it the Google Maps projection, and it shows on Google Maps the location of all the women that Don Giovanni has seduced. Well, I've been asked about why do an adaptation of Don Giovanni, and in fact, I need to say that this is not actually an adaptation. Berkeley West Edge Opera does adaptations, which I would define as taking an opera and reconfiguring it and looking at it from a different way. This is, except for the costuming and scenery and some of the action, this is an extremely traditional interpretation of Don Giovanni. So I would say that what I do is interpretive, and I would call it an interpretation of this very, very well-known opera. So there are many people that really love to see opera done in a traditional style, and I would put it out to them that actually this opera is done in traditional style. It completely serves the music, it completely serves the dramaturgy of the piece. Now what I mean by that is that I consider myself a storyteller, and the story is told in an absolutely straightforward way. There's nothing Eurotrashy about it. It completely serves the music, and in fact, many of the reviews said that, in fact, it was completely based on the music, and personally, I think Mozart would have loved this production. He was a person that really looked for fun and style, and he was working within the style of the times, but many people say, well, Mozart would have loved rock and roll. Well, I think he would have loved to see his opera done in this way. There's nothing at all strange about this production that doesn't directly serve the piece. So I'll give an example of the things that I like to do with staging and with opera production. Donna Anna is a character that is extremely sad. And in fact, when we're working on Don Giovanni, we often call her and her boyfriend Don Ottavio, we call them the whiners. And people always say, oh, here come the whiners. Well, I looked at the text and I thought to myself, there's a reason Donna Anna is so sad. She actually has a part in the death of her own father. And that's pretty horrifying. And so I wanted to create something to help the audience remember this throughout the show. Not just that she's always so sad, but that she has a real reason for it. In the first scene, when Don Giovanni has basically raped her off stage, she comes in, she has a sheet with her, and the sheet is from the bed where Giovanni and Anna were making love, or maybe not so much making love, we don't really know. But the sheet is left on stage, and then when the Commendatore, Donna Anna's father, is killed, Don Ottavio, her boyfriend, uses the sheet to dab the blood from his forehead. This becomes a symbol of many different things in the opera. And Donna Anna uses the sheet, and she actually goes a little crazy, and she carries the sheet with her throughout the entire opera. Sometimes it's folded up, and sometimes it's just with her, but it's a reminder not just to her, but to the audience of what this story really is about. It's about a woman who is seeking answers and retribution and vengeance for the death of her father. So that's a theatrical device that I've used. It's not anything outside of the norm of the storytelling. It's specifically for the storytelling. And the person at Berkeley that played Donna Anna kept telling me how much it connected her to the angst and anguish of Donna Anna, and it became a real help in the storytelling. As a director, I talk quite often about making a bridge across the orchestra pit, connecting the audience with what's going on stage. So I find theatrical ways to really make that happen. So one of the main themes that I wanted to focus on in this production was Don Giovanni as sort of a super narcissist. I felt that what was interesting is to see where this incredible energy and incredible self-confidence, incredible love for women, and the reason that women are so attracted to this character. And I started talking to Eugene Brancoviano, who plays the role of Don Giovanni. He was the Don Giovanni for us in Berkeley, and he will also do it at Livermore Valley Opera. And I said to him, I have this idea that Don Giovanni is sort of a serial narcissist. And his response was, I love that idea. It really worked for Eugene. The device that I used to create this, to once again make the bridge over the orchestra pit, was that I placed a large mirror on the stage, on the center of the stage. And Don Giovanni spends quite a lot of time on the mirror, looking at himself in the mirror, talking to himself in the mirror, and really focusing on himself. And I think that the power over women came from this intense self-love that Don Giovanni has. He really believes that he can do no wrong, that he is right, that this is the way the world is, and why shouldn't he take advantage of that? So Eugene really leapt into this idea. We had the mirror in rehearsal all the time, and he kept discovering new and different things that he could do with the mirror in the recitative. I think this is his favorite. He got a chance to really explore and play with the character. I'm a director that really works with the singer. I'm not interested in telling a singer exactly what to do. I want to draw from them the kind of performance that they bring to it. And Eugene brings a lot to his performance. He's an incredible actor, he's an incredible singer, and a huge amount of energy, and had no trouble embracing the whole narcissism element of the character of Don Giovanni. The one thing that I would say turned out to be a bit disappointing to me in my theater is that the audience is not terribly the audience is fairly flat in the theater. So the best view of Eugene in his mirror was from the balcony. This is not so at Livermore Valley Opera because the seating for the main floor of the auditorium is quite steep. So people will really be able to get a sense of Eugene when he's in the mirror, Don Giovanni, talking to himself, loving himself. And I think actually, for many reasons, it's going to be a better production at Livermore Valley Opera than we were able to do at Berkeley Opera. When you start to look at a character like Don Giovanni, who's the world's really biggest womanizer, if you see him wearing leather pants, you instantly get an idea of what this guy's like and who he is. And if you see another character, for instance, Donna Elvira, who I think is sort of a fashion plate, if you see her in a different, rather outrageous costume, contemporary costume every scene, you realize that she's a lady not only with a big heart, but she's a comic character as well. And we were able to bring out the comedy in her character, and both the comedy and the, I guess, evilness of Don Giovanni, having them in these costumes really set the tone for the audience and made them really get a sense of what was going on. So there are two members of the cast from Berkeley West Edge Opera that will be performing at Livermore Valley Opera, but the rest of the cast will be different. Alex Katzman, the music director of the company, wanted a different feel for this production, and we have some interesting new additions to the cast. The most significant is Marie Plett, who is a well-known opera singer. She sung at the Met for many years, Seattle Opera, and she sang Madame Butterfly at San Francisco Opera about 3 years ago. She also happens to be my wife. So people ask, well, is this nepotism? And I say, actually, it's the other way around because I'm with her. We spent many years, I spent many happy years going to companies and people would say, oh, who's that guy? And somebody would say, well, you know, he's married to Marie Plett. And then suddenly people would like me. And it was really nice. She's a fantastic singer. And Donna Elvira is one of really her best roles. She has sung it at the Metropolitan Opera, also at Seattle Opera. She did the production that they did last time, which was a lot of fun. And it's really one of her favorite roles. Boston Lyric Opera, she also performed the role. She has this ability to do the incredible angst of Donna Elvira, but also create the comedy. And she's a super funny person, and she's really great on stage. And I was really excited that Alex, as soon as I suggested it, Alex sort of couldn't believe it, and he immediately said yes. So it's going to be really, really terrific. She was around when we did it at Berkeley Opera, but it was a different singer doing it. I've just presented her on our stage in The Legend of the Ring, and so I didn't want to put her in two productions. And so I'm very excited to get to work with my wife, who's a very, very talented artist. So I first met Alex Katzman when he and I did an education program last summer called West Coast Opera Works. We worked strictly together on a full evening of opera scenes, and immediately liked each other. I thought that he was a terrific musician and a very interesting sense of humor, and I really liked working with Alex. And so when we started talking about who should conduct this Don Giovanni at Berkeley West Edge Opera, I suggested Alex to my music director, Jonathan Cooner, and he immediately said, absolutely, what a great idea. So at the end of the rehearsals for Don Giovanni, Alex mentioned to me that Livermore was talking about doing it, and would I do it with them? And I, of course, said, absolutely. We have a really nice working relationship, and I really do enjoy working with Alex Katzman quite a lot. My favorite comment that I got doing this production was, you know, I don't really like opera, but I love this. So I hope that with this production, we can create new audiences and bring people in that maybe think opera is something that they don't want to see, but in fact, when they see this production, they love it. So I hope you will join us for Don Giovanni at the Livermore Valley Opera.